Hey, this is Tony Jones for thehardestquestion.org, and I'm coming to you from the world headquarters of Spark House, the originator of THQ, and it is the week before Transfiguration Sunday, so the last week of Epiphany, the liminal space between Epiphany and Lent. And Russell wrote a post this week about the Transfiguration, which I think is one of the most fascinating passages in the Gospels. And his hardest question was good, and that is what exactly got transfigured by the Transfiguration. It doesn't seem that much actually happens, because what you've got is, Jesus, this kind of very magical and otherworldly encounter between Jesus and the Moses and Elijah happens. Peter has this funny thing he says right in the middle of it, asking if he can build 3 tents or shelters for each of the 3 of them. And then that's it. Cloud descends, cloud ascends, and they walk down the mountain. I'd actually like to bring up another hardest question that would be an interesting one to preach on, that probably you regular lectionary preachers have gotten the chance to preach on before, but I think this is a particularly poignant one. It's called the Messianic Secret by biblical scholars, and the question is, they get done, they witness, Peter, James, and John witness the Transfiguration, and they hear the voice of God, and they see 2 prophets about whom they've heard since they were young children, and now they see these long dead prophets living and standing there conversing with Jesus. As they walk down the mountain, Jesus says, "Now don't tell anybody about this until the Son of Man rises from the dead." And then, the narrator of the gospel goes on to tell us they went on to talk amongst themselves about what this rising from the dead means. So here's the hardest question for me. Does Jesus really think that they're not going to tell anybody what they've just witnessed? I mean, there are other times when the Messianic secret shows up in the Gospels where Jesus performs some miracle, and then he tells the recipient of the miracle, "Now don't tell anybody what just happened." That's one thing. And that's hard to believe, I guess. That's hard to swallow. But this one's particularly hard to swallow. The fact that he would expect Peter, James, and John to not tell anybody about this, I don't buy it. And so then you have to wonder, is he telling them not to tell anybody, knowing that they will tell somebody, and just waiting to see what happens when they do tell somebody, but they're not supposed to? So how does that change the whole dynamics of the message? It's a very different message than him saying, go shout this from the mountaintops, and he's not even saying, hey, just kind of keep this under your hat. He's like, don't tell anybody. Well, of course they tell people, and I doubt that they waited until after the Son of Man had risen from the dead to tell people. So my hardest question for this passage, and I think a question that would be an intriguing one to tackle in a sermon, is why does Jesus let them experience this incredible thing, or watch them? Maybe he doesn't let them. Maybe he didn't know the Transfiguration was going to happen. It just happened. But what does he really think or expect when he says to these disciples, "Now don't tell anybody about what you just saw until the Son of Man has risen from the dead"? All right, that's it. That's my hardest question for year A and the Transfiguration Sunday of the lectionary cycle. We would love to hear your hardest question. Please feel free to travel over to thehardestquestion.org and leave a comment at the bottom of any of the blog posts or this video post letting us know what's your hardest question or how you plan to preach this text. Thanks.